Hey guys, I'm Mustached Wolf, and today we're going to be playing Innsmouth Case. So, it's, I guess, for lack of a better term, choose your own adventure kind of game, where you're going to be picking between multiple choices, and each choice guides you down a different path. And it's set in the Cthulhu mythos. So let's jump right in. We are fans of the strange world of Innsmouth, but we recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. This game has been produced by a group of people who believe in inclusion and equality. The progress in the story will be saved at the end of each chapter. There are 5 chapters in total. At the end of the chapter, screen feeds a black and green icon. We recommend you always end the game after such a save point to make sure none of your progress is lost. Boston, September 21st. The last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds of your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. The screeching tires and the constant beeping of car horns out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. It's gone 8 p.m. Okay? People are on their way home finishing their day. You should join them. No, stay at our desk. Your day was long and frustrating. You're running out of ideas how to handle the calls of people who want money from you. A cold shiver runs down your spine as you flip through the pile of unpaid bills. On the top of the pile is a reminder from your landlady. You're 2 months behind on the rent. The next one is a 3-figure invoice from Games Company for in-app purchases. Alright, so this is going to be a little more modern. You try to claim them as business expenses in your last investigation, but somehow your client refused to pay. I wouldn't want to pay that either. Then there's a second reminder from your internet provider, threatening to cut off your connection. You might take legal action, because without the internet, you can't work or live. Let's open up the window. You jerk open the blinds. Amongst the dust, the last rays of light shine into your eyes like a laser sight in the spy flick. It takes a few seconds for your eyes to adjust. Your gaze settles on the Horns and Hooves pub across the street. How many simple jobs this dive has given you? Jealous wives whose husbands who you had to spy on? All you had to do was lie in wait at the window and take pictures of them coming out of the dirtiest hole in town. Ooh, double meaning. You close the window before you see anyone you know. You breathe a deep sigh. It might not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You're looking forward to a classic Friday night. Watch old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you had been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor on the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now nothing stands in the way. You suddenly hear someone at the door. Yeah, let's answer it. The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. An unknown guest pauses, then in a breathy and melodic tone, you hear a woman utter, "Hello?" Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned off your desk at all this year. Invite her in. Maybe it'll give an air of professionalism. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up in your office. Office. No doubt older than 40, maybe even 50, hard to say, clad in black, a skin-tight dress, culminating in a delicate décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow as dark as algae washed ashore, blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits, convinced their wives have something going with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down in the corner of your desk. Which is a little bold. My desk is dirty. You gonna sit in something nasty? which is a little bold without asking you first, but as a professional, you're not giving anything away. She seems to want to play the seductive damsel in distress. The quiet, amused voice of your subconscious is pleased that this stranger may be sharing your enthusiasm for film noir cliches. A far louder voice is surprised that then this woman seems to think that a sexy pose and revealing clothes could win you over. And both voices agree that they don't like being manipulated. You don't think that the stranger perched on your table is trying to recover from a hard working day as a lingerie model. And therefore you see no logical reason for her behavior. I just noticed the pointer on the bottom is a fishman finger, or hand. When she begins to speak, her voice is smoky and full of promise. My name is Delilah Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told you are one of the best. She extends her hand. Oh, well, I'm not gonna kiss your hand. Comes to the right place, lady. You come to the right place, lady. What can I do for you? You sit back in your chair and fold your hands over your stomach. The woman seems a little irritated that her provocative behavior seems to have had no effect on you. She moves from the edge of the desk and sits down in the chair opposite you. Yes, She clears her throat. As she continues to speak, the smoky seductiveness creeps back into her voice. My name is Delilah. I need help. Alright, what you got? It's about my daughter Tabitha. She's disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is going to be a walk in the park. A walk in the kidnapped kids park. I don't want to go to that park. Well, when did you last see her? And where? The one puts on a fake smile. We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham. You frown. That's a bit vague. What was your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have? Oh, you know, kid stuff. They just run around and play with their yo-yos, that sort of thing. Delilah nervously combs her hand through her hair. I'm so tempted to say yo-yos, but let's get some more info. What does your daughter look like? She's only 8 and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without a trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her and no one knows where she might have gone. She hands you a photo. Look, this is my little munchkin. That's foul. Good heavens, is this supposed to be a joke? Is that really the face of a child or a shoddy photo editing? Are you being filmed for part of a reality TV show? A bit of a stomach acid and the last bite of lunch slowly but surely make your way up into the back of your mouth. Oh. Come on, she wasn't that horrifying. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntary pull of face. Delilah continues to look at you hopefully. She obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close, and could have been unpleasant. I'm so desperate. Her eyes lock with yours. I can ask her that there's something strange. Well, I guess, yeah, most of these stories take place in, well, some of them take place in Boston, other places like the desert of Egypt and stuff like that. And most of the people who are part of this world don't know anything about the Cthulhu mythos, the fact that the elder gods are out there. So he probably doesn't even know what Innsmouth is. Let's ask more questions about the case. We're professionals. What about her father? What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with family members. Delilah smiles sad. My little one can't swim well enough for that yet. Your pen remains on the same spot on the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? Dig deeper. Excuse me, but you're struggling to find the right words to respond to such a cryptic statement. What the hell do you mean by that? The kid can't swim enough? Delilah turns up her nose. She doesn't seem comfortable with you asking personal questions. Still, she responds. Oh, just an old thing in our village. She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Delilah turns her gaze away from her and looks dreamily, no, longingly out the window. Her father was a fisherman, like most in the village. A few years ago he went out to sea but never returned. His boat was washed ashore weeks later. His colleagues told me that he had finally followed the call of the waves. You keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family members are always a sensitive subject. My sincerest condolences. She seems calm. Oh, somehow I always knew that moment would come. I think my husband is in a better place now, and at some point, I'll join him. You take a closer look at Ella's outfit. Judging by her behavior, the clothes, you never would have taken her for a fisherman's wife. That is true. She's got a fancy getup, unless she got that real life policy on him. You inquire about more details of the case. We're not looking for her husband, so it doesn't matter what she did to get that money. Does your daughter have any friends she might be staying with? Classmates, sports club members, anything like that? Delilah shakes her head. Very strange. You're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. Yep, gotta ask about the yo-yos. Hold on, yo-yos? Ring, ring. Can you hear that? It's the 90s calling, and they want their outdated toys back. Delilah blushes. Normally you would find this quite attractive, but the case of missing girl beckons and you're utterly unconvinced by the way this woman pretends to be a mother. She remains silent. Now we're going to confront her. Something's fishy here and you have a nose for this sort of thing. That's why you became a private investigator. Let's be more precise, that's why you took an online detective course that for a one-off fee provided the necessary qualification. It's time to take your visitor to task. Yeah, why did you come to me? You get out of your chair. Innsmouth is several miles away from here. Why do you want to hire me? I wouldn't even hire myself. Delilah crosses her arms. What do you care? Do you want to be paid or not? We got them bills to pay. You clap your hands. Your moment has come. If I'm going on a journey into the unknown, I won't be cheap. It won't be cheap. You lean in, but I'm sure your daughter's worth a lot to you. With what you hope is a poker face, you peer hard into Delilah's cold eyes. After what feels like an eternity, she nods and pulls a second envelope out of her wallet. When did she pull the first one out? You wonder what it meant, what it was. You wonder what it was meant for originally. Consider this a sign of my confidence. You nod. A missing persons case, nothing unusual. The conventional little girl runs away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide at the edge of a forest or in a library. Should be pretty straightforward. Before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk. This is where we get paid. I don't know why they mentioned the second envelope. For your expenses. You nod slowly, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen this much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth, only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. The few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the reoccurring buzzword. Delilah's given you the address to which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number on the child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. So she's at the seaside promenade in that picture. The next morning you travel by bus. She just paid us. Boston, September 22nd. Your journey begins at a busy bus station. There's supposed to be a bus line that departs from here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think to yourself, are not only an environmentally friendly means of transportation, they're also easy on your wallet. Sadly, departure boards aren't much of help. New York, Maine, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as a destination. You wander around for a while until you notice a cleaner eating a sandwich on the side of one of the vending machines. You look around. Let's ask for help. Excuse me, where can I find the bus to Inns? Without letting go of his sandwich, the cleaner points to the abandoned counter in the dingiest corner that a public bus station could be capable of. The man gives you a nod, indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find that the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone's made an effort. At the moment, nobody seems to be there. You press your face against the plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello, is anyone in there? I gotta go to Innsmouth. No one's there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? Let's pay just in case. You're a staunch defender of the law. It goes without saying that you pay. You put a few coins in the bowl underneath the foggy glass window. Hopefully they won't be stolen by the next passenger. Even if someone was sitting behind the counter, you wouldn't be able to see them. It's just too dark. You're distracted for a few seconds, and suddenly there's some change on the counter. What's this amongst the coins? A small golden fish hook? How strange. Where is this bus heading? In between the polished greyhounds and travelers storing their luggage, saying goodbye and dropping tiredly to their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels? No. It's actually a bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance you sense the strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? You're not convinced how this thing is supposed to drive. In its vicinity, everything is noticeably quieter than the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Nobody's trying to jump the queue here. Instead, the passengers move past the bus driver at a uniform speed, one after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passengers. The sign clearly says Innsmouth. No departure times, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. Undecided, you're standing on the stairs of the bus. Yeah, show our ticket. You hand over the ticket, no reaction. At least you can't make out a reaction. The lighting is poor, and the shadow of his dusty driver's cap covers almost his entire face. You notice something strange about his neck, but you can't quite make out what it might be. You stand in the door waiting for an okay, a nod, anything. The sulfur odor has increased. A queue has formed behind you, but no one is pushing or complaining. Ooh, must be nice. The people wait quietly and patiently. I just keep walking. You shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You are surrounded by shabby two-seater benches, and some are already occupied. One traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery is torn in some places, though. Or has it been slit open? You can see springs with sharp wire edges and some sticky liquid that must have leaked onto the floor. Why don't you just sit down in one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seem to have purposely sat down in the aisle seat, blocking off the window seats. Maybe this is an opportunity to get a little closer to the common Innsmouth visitor. You gaze across the rows of seats. Yeah, we're gonna sit next to someone. As a nonconformist, you join one of the passengers in a double seat, since only one man was so considerate as to sit at the window. Your options are limited anyway. As far as you can tell, this man has a haggard figured with barely any luggage. The hood of the gray jumper pulled far onto his face, the man looks out onto the street as if something very important is happening there that requires his attention. Is this seat taken? You politely ask. He turns his head and gives you a brief once-over. Oh, look at those fishy hands. Without saying a word, he turns away again. Oh, we're gonna sit down. That means a yes. Alright, that wasn't a no either. You sit down and regret it instantly. The smell of sulfur is now overpowered by something else. Something that smells like it's been in the sun for too long. You're trying to catch a glimpse of what's under that hoodie. Does this person have genetic defect? Is he malnourished? You're not sure what the problem might be, but you're trying to stay professional. You awkwardly stare at the headrest of the person in front of you. We gonna talk. There's a chance to get some inside information. Yeah, let's play the tourist. You clear your throat before you speak, twitching with a slight tremor. The man turns to you. Excuse me, I'm visiting Innsmouth for the first time. Do you happen to come from there? A twitch is all you get. Maybe you should get right to the point. Look at him. Look at his creepy face. It's hard to tell if you're boring him. Let's ask for a few tourism tips. Does Innsmouth have any sights? Your neighbor stares into the middle distance. Is he thinking? The silence between the two of you is hardly bearable. The beach, he finally stutters. Your eyes meet again. The old town? He adds. Well, that could have gone worse. The small talk has been gruelingly slow, so you decide to let it go. This ride is taking forever. Rude. The bus leaves the country road and turns off at a wooden sign that says Innsmouth in red flaky letters. The journey continues rather bumpily along a narrow dirt road, littered with numerous potholes. In the distance, some houses are already visible. Seagulls circling the roofs at the outermost edge of the city. Slowly, all passengers take their bags out from under their seats and get ready. Curiously, you look through. Look through the side window. See if we can't get a house or something. That's odd. The bus passes by a huge, what is this? A scrapyard? Parking lot? Why would something like this be here right outside the city? You pass another wooden sign whose half-peeled writing advertised the Innsmouth Park and Ride Area. The Innsmouth Park and Ride Area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting here for years. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windscreens. The front door of the bus opens with a squeak, and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get closer to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The passengers shuffle off. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs, trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. A clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of the 19th century in New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls, and locals going about their business. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brash creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs spouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if that wasn't enough, there appears to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are contorted as yours is right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. But these are not your classic harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevices of the deep sea. In surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All locals appear to be watching you. Suddenly, you suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? Welcome to Innsmouth. I'm assuming if we turn around, the bus is going to be gone. So ignore. You follow the group of people from the bus without acknowledging the friendly welcome. Hey, you. Yes. Oh, that was someone saying welcome to Innsmouth. I read it as if it was the sign in the background. Hey, yes, you. Welcome to Innsmouth. Someone shouts after you. You turn around and notice a small elderly lady with a strange hat waving at you energetically. Look at Meemaw. Oh, Meemaw packing. Very energetically. Who the hell are you? Alright, let's do that. Oh, have I not introduced myself? I'm ever so sorry. In front of you now stands a small, plump person in a tasteless costume. Your rudeness doesn't seem to curb her enthusiasm in the slightest. My name is Muriel Pooping Place. Muriel Pooping Place. I'm the Director of the Parks Commission Chief Tourism Officer. I'm the Director of the Parks Commission Chief Tourism Officer and Head of the Welcoming Committee. Ta-da! Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand. Lovingly decorated with balloons, a colorful painted sign reads, Welcome to Innsmouth. Muriel tiptoes over the information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display cases. She looks down at all the paper in her arms and briefly shrieks with laughter. My goodness, why don't you take this city map to begin with? Useful. You take the map, put it in your coat pocket. Would you like to find out more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years in a row? And would you? Sure, why not? Muriel claps her hands excitedly and squeals. She begins unfolding one of her maps and points at three different locations in the town. The town center here should be the next stop on your trip. There's a lively up-and-coming shopping street in Innsmouth, and since May, our local fountain has even had a real stunning water. It's had a real stunning water? What was it spewing out before? Muriel stands, waving her index finger at you. I know what you're thinking. This town is being too showy for its own good, but I can assure you, we've all kept our feet on the ground, even after the whole thing with the East Coast Stunning Town Awards. Her finger now points to a different area on the map. The old town of Innsmouth is completely preserved. You think nothing was ever done to the facades of the old houses. Within 4 miles of here, you won't find any new buildings. Sounds terrible. Your face is unwillingly slipped into an expressionless mask due to the sheer boredom of it all. And then, Muriel points to the coastline on the map. The amazing beach promenade. A dreamy beach with a bar that serves all the drinks your heart desires. I hope you brought enough stress with you, because at the beach, pure relaxation awaits you. The small woman chortles. Thanks, miss. Thanks ever so much, man. Muriel seems delighted. Nothing gives me more pleasure than ensuring visitors have a great time in our pretty little town. Will you be staying for a few nights? I can only recommend staying as long as you can. There's so much to see. Trust me, by the end of your stay, you won't want to leave. How long are you going to stay? It's a short trip. Oh, what a shame. Muriel's enthusiasm quickly faded from her eyes as she drops her hands, which are still holding the colorful flyers. I hope you find what you're looking for. Have a great time. Her eyes move past you and settle on a tourist family right behind you. Seemingly at the flick of a switch, she's back to her gleeful demeanor. Seemingly at the flick of a switch, she's back to her gleeful demeanor, bouncing over the family and waving her brochures. That ain't the only thing she waving. You head further into the town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago the sun was bright in the sky, but already first wafts of mist are creeping into the street. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down. You lean your briefcase against a wall and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. As a coastal town, Innsmouth also has a harbor. From your research, you found out that this is a bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel, is located in the old town. You think about checking in. You could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell. You could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is clinging to your clothes. I don't think they care here. Just as you're about to set off, your heart leaps into your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. You usually take good care of the little you possess. There's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed it in at the Lost and Found. Still, you could swear that briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. Well, she was at the promenade, and that's not at the harbor. That's at the beach. So we'll go to the city center. Let's go to that police station. Innsmouth Town Square, the beating heart of the city, a big attraction for local tourism. It is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. A lot less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurching about the square. A rather creepy-looking fountain is in the middle of the square. A gigantic fish-like stone statue stretches its claws towards the sky with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. The water sprays into the air, providing a refreshing breeze to the tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Looking at it closely now, it all rather looks like a giant, drooling fish monster. The square is surrounded by handsome old buildings, although the side streets reveal the true Innsmouth, crumbling facades just far enough away that the average tourist didn't notice them immediately. You also notice the mean grimaces of gargoyles sternly looking down onto the visitors from the corners of their buildings. You make a mental note to block out the Innsmouth architecture in the future. At first glance, you can see the town hall and a police station behind the fountain. There should be a few more public facilities nearby, but you don't notice anything right away. You decide to go to... let's keep looking at our surroundings. Oh, the alleys. The town center is dilapidated and seems to be completely dead. Wasn't it just bustling 3 seconds ago? None of the footpaths are maintained and weeds have worked their way into every crevice. You notice carelessly dumped fast food packages, beer bottles, and other trash. Some of the narrow side streets between the houses are so crammed with bulky trash that you wouldn't be able to walk along them. Many of the houses are in poor state of repair. Cracked windows, loose wooden boards hanging off the walls, and doors nailed shut. It's impossible to tell which color the houses were originally painted. You're struck by a bad stench several times, the cause of which you would rather not investigate. As you keep walking, you get to a kind of shopping district with a number of small shops. Half of them seem to be abandoned. The first shop on the corner is a snack bar. Its name, Joe's Pizza and Burger. It's printed in big letters on individual sheets of paper. Right next to it, there's a shop for fishing gear. Then a hairdresser just a few doors down. In that shop window, you can see faded photos of the trendiest haircuts that the 1970s had to offer. Behind the hairdresser, you can make out a kiosk selling sweets and magazines, and also a liquor store wedged in between two empty buildings. Opposite, you find a shop whose name seems to be Zan. Judging by the window, it's a music store. At the other end of the street, there's a building with an inscription, Arkham Accads. Arkham Accads? The letters are made from neon tubes, but some appear to be burnt out and never been replaced. Maybe some of the shopkeepers will be able to tell you more about your client. You need to decide which shop to enter. Oh, Arkham Arcades. Okay. Food joint for info? Nah, let's go to the arcade. See what kind of games they got. The games arcade is hard to miss. At the end of the dead shopping street, a shrill neon sign draws attention to itself. You think it looks rather retro, although the people of Innsmouth would probably think it's state-of-the-art design. As you approach, familiar sound starts ringing in your ears. A heady mix of cheaply produced gun sound effects and mysterious sounds from the pinball machines. This cocktail of synth effects. Yeah, nostalgia. Don't know how old we are, but I'm assuming like 30. Happy memories flood your brain. Your first beat-em-up game when your opponent a super limber septuagenarian? I don't know if I said that right. Yoga dude who played the boxer ripped you apart. And all those exciting moments when you managed to win. The few tourist families who had ventured into the city center with you were all dragged in here by their excited children. Now you too passed through the gate. You too passed through the gates to the realm of flashing lights and bad ventilation. It's extremely dark, and the screens of the devices appear to be the only light source. Families, slackers, groups of teenagers, and individual children crowd together in front of the screens to catch a glimpse of the games that are currently being played or to have a shot at playing them. The arcade is smaller than the elaborate archway initially suggested, but the equipment is not so bad for a small coastal town. Like we got like something couch where it's a scarecrow bat? Everything is beeping and flashing. Yeah, let's look for the missing girl. No matter how tempting it may be, you don't have time to enjoy yourself now. Tabitha might be one of the children running around here. Your gaze passes over the rows of younger players, but like a moth drawn to light, your attention is pulled in again and again by the machines. Your resolve crumbles. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And no one will mind if you play for a few minutes. I do. You gotta find this girl. One of your most important lessons you have learned, not from your own cases, but from television, is to look out for the small things. Only an absolute beginner would ignore the slot machines and look for the missing girl straight away. You, on the other hand, are playing the long game. Maybe you'll see her name token on one of the high score tables. Maybe you'll be able to improve your own reflexes, toughen yourself and steel your nerves by playing a few rounds. A little girl is missing, but you'd rather play around the computer games. But don't worry, no one will ever find out. How often will you return to Innsmouth, you ask yourself? The answer, of course, is hopefully never again. So you might as well make the most of it and try to leave a new high score for posterity. You interested in the first-person shooters? Get the Terminator games, House of the Dead. Fantastic. Who would have thought that you'd come across one of your favorite games here in Hicksville? Shooter games obviously cost more money, but the graphics are the best. The pixel blood sprays abundantly, and you can shoot at the screen with neon plastic weapons. Annoyingly, this is where the most people are queuing. It'll take a while until it's your turn, but from what you can see on the screens, you're sure it'll be worth it. Choices... Is that a House of the Dead? Mansion of the Unliving? Yeah. Mansion of the Unliving. In Mansion of the Unliving, scientists in a secret research lab under, well, a house, have been experimenting with a dangerous zombie virus. When the virus is accidentally let loose and all the employees are turned into an army of undead, it's up to you, the cleaner, to save the world by offing them all. That doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, of course I want to queue for Mansion of the Unliving. Oh, it's Mason. Wow, I've been adding an N. Mason of the Unliving, a good choice. The target demographic is a lot more alternative than that of the other games. Black t-shirts, black cargo pants, black beanies. In your brown trench coat, you stand out like a sore thumb from the rest of the gamer crowd, and you're also twice, thrice, or four times the age of most of the people queuing. Right in front of you is a child who only reaches up to your hip. Nah, they're here to play. We don't need to say nothing. You know that online and offline the rule is not to cross the gaming community. Impatiently you watch a child who still has some of his baby teeth struggle to reach the control panel. Luckily he gets overrun by zombie hordes pretty quickly. After a few players are knocked out, it's your turn, quicker than you thought. You put all the coins you have into the machine. Your hands clasp the black plastic guns. Feels good. The screen goes black. The slogan, Mason of the Unliving, flashes up. Then the intro of the game starts playing. Lovingly crafted camera work shows some polygon figure, which tells the plot of the game. The message, pull the trigger to skip, keeps flashing up from time to time. Yeah, let's keep watching the intro. Really? Parasol Corps? Headquarters of Parasol Corps, a healthcare company. After a disappointing second quarter, shareholders demanded some drastic measures, such as redundancies or the opening of new markets to increase dividends. Wow, who would have thought that the developers of a zombie shooter would actually take the story seriously? You're genuinely curious about where all of this is going. But there's resistance behind you. Boring, someone cries. Hey, you've got to pull the trigger, then it will skip. Apparently the people around you are not interested in watching the intro. We're gonna keep watching. You try to hush the people behind you. The video keeps playing. The camera zooms into a white conference room in which pixelated people gesticulate wildly with their arms. In order to appease these shareholders, Parasol Corps extends its research into influenza vaccine. A white block appears and it looks like it was supposed to be a building. In front of its doors there are some blobs who seem to be holding up signs into the air. The process is made difficult due to regular staff strikes. There are lengthy negotiations with the unions. It's much calmer behind you now. The first tests are very promising, the voiceover continues. A first test of the vaccine helps during influenza season. Did it say influenza? Ooh, my reading is terrible. At the first test At the first test of the vaccine happens during influenza season, and batches of vaccine are delivered to the doctor's offices and hospitals. Please kill me. Oh, someone in the crowd. Please kill me. Someone in the crowd says, but another person shushes them. Graphs fill the screen, lots of graphs. The annual budget show initial positive trends, but because of the research investment, profits are still low. Parasol Corp breaks even. Unions signal their willingness for compromise in order to keep their jobs. I really hope they're gonna make it. My dad lost his job last year and we lost the house, a young boy says next to you. Oh man, I'm so sorry, someone says in the crowd. There are now barely any impatient comments from the audience. It seems as if no one has ever let the intro of this game play to the end. Of course not, kids don't want to watch the intro. Stock exchanging developments and more graphs resolving the conflict with the unions. The voiceover calmly reports how Parasol Corp manages to become financially sound again and slowly turns into the market-leading health company. It engages in social projects, provides jobs, and supports the economy. The whole audience now contemplates in silence. Lots to chew on here, and you even think that you've learned something. Lots to chew on here, and you even think that you learned some new things about business plans and economic strategies. Yeah, right. The intro reaches its final part. A lab assistant accidentally knocks over a sealed test tube and its greenest components spread out to the lab floor. Then everyone turns into zombies. Oh, that's a bit disappointing, someone murmurs behind you. Indeed, compared to the carefully researched background of Parasol Corp, the part with the zombies seems sloppy. The intro fades and the game continues. Aw, yeah. Bloody lettering splatters onto the screen and let you know about your mission. Level 1. Survive. Is that all? With nothing but a handgun, your character stands in a seemingly endless corridor. Hordes of roaring zombies come at you. Yeah! Yes! The audience is visibly excited about the upcoming battle for survival. You shoot the pixelated heads, and those enemies you've hit slowly turn transparent and vanish. You seem to have endless ammunition, and you only need to shoot outside of the screen to reload. After what feels like 100 kills, you start to feel bored. Why was there a queue for this machine? Your motivation to stay alive dwindles rapidly and is being replaced with the desire to do something useful. Maybe even solve the case? The zombies overrun you, and wordlessly you hand a plastic gun to the next player. That was some dope music. As you move out of line, you cannot believe your eyes. In front of you stands Tabitha Marsh. She waves at you excitedly, her bug-like eyes sparkling. You're the first player who looked at the story. Now I finally know how Parasol Corp started. Many people don't really pay much attention to the story in games. The words fail you. Well, let's not grab her, because I'm gonna go to jail for kidnapping. So as not to scare the girl, you gently sink down to your knees. Tabitha, your mother has asked me to bring you home. The girl scrunches up her face. What? My name isn't Tabitha. Do I show her the photo? What's her name? No. It's difficult to tell the girl's age. The shape of her head suggests that she might be suffering from a kind of illness that impacts on her growth. Is she confused or simply a difficult phase of puberty? What's your real name? The girl smiles. I'm Evelyn. Visibly uneasy, the girl nods. I shouldn't be here anyway. Finally, you found the girl. Now you only need to pick up your reward, and then you can finally leave this dump of a place and relax at home. Evelyn starts making her way outside, passing by other families and their children. Luckily, no one seems to be suspecting anything untoward is happening, and you finally reach the exit. Okay, off to... You flip the Polaroid over the address Delilah had noted down on its back. 43 Shoggoth Ave. The girl 43 Shoggoth Ave. The girl shakes her head. That's the wrong address. Wrong? What do you mean wrong? Oh. Wait. Oh, did I select for her? Okay, that's what it was. What do you mean wrong? Why would your mother give me a wrong address? The girl rolls her eyes. I don't know. Can we go now? Our house is not far from here. You should have foreseen that it wouldn't be this easy. I mean, I'm not going to Shoggoth Ave. I know it's there. An elder god. One of its minions. You wave around the Polaroid picture. Your mother has explicitly written down this address, and that's where we're going now. The girl theatrically slaps both her hands on her forehead. You are so stupid. Fine, let's go there then. Nice. Oh, I fell for it. Should have gone to Shoggoth. Should have gone with the enemy I know. Unsurprisingly, the old town has fewer tourist attractions than the town center. Fish, guts, compost, and other randomly discarded goods line the street. A pathetic trash parade leads right to the residential neighborhood. The lack of scary fountains is made up for by the presence of rather creepy-looking fishing folk. The men's tanned and scarred skin around you makes you wonder whether there's been some sort of large-scale chemical accident. You don't need a PI to know that these people like to be by themselves. These are simple people living in modest houses made from rubble and wooden boards. The wood on some of the houses is pitch black and rotten. You have no time for poverty tourism, though. With Tabitha holding onto your hand, you're in good spirits as you walk through the neighborhood. Shoggoth Avenue 43. You're pretty sure that place must be close. Life would be so much easier if you weren't incapable of reading maps or if Tabitha was a bit more cooperative. Honestly, I don't live here, she announces. She announces once more and tries to wind her hand out of yours. At least she's not making a scene. Last thing you need is to be seen as someone who's kidnapped a child. The girl is petulant, as if none of this concerns her. You blame her behavior on... Let's blame it on puberty, why not? Now, I'm sure everything's very difficult in school right now, and you're in love for the very first time, but it's not a good enough reason to make my life difficult. I'm just trying to help you. The girl sighs deeply. At least she stopped trying to Jesus. At least she stopped trying to free her hand from yours. That's better. You praise her. Things would be so much easier if you only work with me, you say. I get you home, your mother gives me all your money, everyone's happy. Tabitha rolls her eyes. She's pretty cheeky for such a strange-looking girl. You turn down a small street. By now you're really far off the beaten track. You've not seen any shops for a long time, not even a kiosk. You could swear that people have started looking at you suspiciously. Tabitha keeps nagging. You're not listening to me. Alright, let's listen. Oh man, we've been going for a while. Alright, we'll pick up back here again. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this is a little interesting. Hopefully my voice acting isn't terrible. But thank you so much for watching.